What is up, YouTube? Jamie the Kid00 here, coming at you guys with a deck profile of something you guys have been requesting. I recently posted a couple of duels, and there's actually a couple more to come of me playing this deck I called Shaddolls Kaiju or Kaiju Dolls. It's a deck that I built for my Sunday locals, which is usually a fun locals. It's usually the deck I try to play a fun concept at, and this is what I was rolling with. It's essentially massively stripped down Performage dolls with a Kaiju engine slipped in. And some edits to the extra deck as you'd expect. And what it led to was a really interesting brew which could easily clear a field, produce things like an Ascension Skydragon and a Construct and push for massive damage. Not usually always OTKs, that's why I would never consider this for a viable competitive deck, but it definitely led to some really big and really characterful pushes, as you'll see in a lot of the videos, especially if you check out things like the Toon video, which is already up. But without much further ado, I'm just going to get into the list. That's what you guys have been requesting, and I figured I'd show you it. It's pretty bare bones basic, but I guess you guys want to see how exactly I was running it and how I managed to fit everything in. So I played the standard Shaddolls lineup of the 2 Falco. Like, this is the same in every single video I'm ever going to make with Shaddolls. 2 Hedgehog, 3 Squamata, 1 Dragon, 2 Beast. Just the standard 10, you need them. I feel like this is the perfect number, no more, no less, realistically. Like, you can maybe go to 9 in some of your builds, but then you're going to start running out of targets because you already run out of them so damn fast. So yeah, that's another thing I want to say. For those of you guys who ask why I don't use Allure, it's because you always run out of targets. You need, like, your Dark Monsters are so important. Allure is just throwing away one of your really important cards, so I'd rather not use it because I can get enough value and go plus out of each and every one of these, so I don't see any use to Allure in the deck. Then I play 3 copies of Dogoran, the Mad Flame Kaiju. Now what this guy does is you can special summon this card from your hand to your opponent's side of the field in attack position by attributing 1 monster they control. And if your opponent controls a Kaiju monster, you can special summon this card. So what you can do, and this is where most of your combo plays will come from, is you can special Dogoran to your opponent's side of the field. Special your own Dogoran to your side of the field because your opponent controls a Kaiju. And then use Dogoran's other effect. Dogoran's other effect reads, once per turn, you can remove 3 Kaiju counters from anywhere on the field and destroy all monsters your opponent controls. This card cannot attack the turn you activate this effect. So you're probably seeing where we're going with this. You give your opponent the Dogoran, you summon your own Dogoran, you remove 3 Kaiju counters from a card we'll get to in a moment, and then you blow up your opponent's side of the field, and then you make yourself a wonderful little Ascension Skydragon or Leo using your Falco, so the fact that this card can't attack is pretty much irrelevant. That's where we're going with this. And then to back up the Kaiju lineup, there are only 2 cards released. I'm also playing 1 copy of Kumungus, the Sticky String Kaiju. Kumungus is similar to Dogoran. You can special summon this card from your hand to your opponent's side of the field in attack position by attributing a monster they control. And if your opponent controls a Kaiju, you can special summon this card from your hand in attack position. You can only control 1 Kaiju monster. That's the same clause on both of the monsters, except this guy reads, when your opponent normal or special summons a monster or monsters, you can remove 2 Kaiju counters from anywhere on the field until the end of the next turn. That monster or monsters cannot activate its effects. Sorry, cannot attack, and its effects are negated. So this guy's a Finish Chain. You summon him in a lot more subjective situations. Like, if you can't beat your opponent, sometimes it's best to give them a Dogoran, special summon the Kumungus, make Construct, kill the Dogoran, and then sit there with Construct Kumungus, which is like a living Finish Chain. So that's why you play this card. Or if you don't have any Kaiju counters, you can give this to your opponent, special your own Dogoran, and just kill over it, which is another thing you can do. But it's really situational. And a lot of the time when I summon this to my opponent's side of the field, I kind of, in some situations, had to rely on them not reading it, because a lot of the times, and you'll see in the duel videos, I do just summon this to my opponent's side of the field and make plays, and they don't realize they can Finish Shame, because, like, and that's the advantage of playing cards that are so new and unknown. People will misplay with them. I mean, even I misplayed in one of the videos by forgetting this could negate my effects. So, I mean, even I'm really new to the cards, but I was learning it as I went along. At the locals. Then for the rest of the deck, we played quite a lot of elements. We played 2 Mathematician. I needed to thin down for space. 2 Trick Clown and 1 Damage Juggler for our Performage engine. This is just our mini rank 4 engine, and the Mathematician gets us to the rank 4 engine a lot, as easily as we want, or to the Shaddolls. So this was all we played, and then 1 BLS. I had to cut out the hand traps because there was literally no room for them. So that's the complete monster lineup. It's actually, it looks a lot smaller than it normally does, but that's because I had to force in like the field spells for the kaiju and that and as well and things like that. So it's a few less monsters than I'm used to, but it never really caused a problem. For the spells, one Regeki to clear your opponent's board. There are going to be situations where things go wrong for you, as you'll see in another one of the videos, where you'll summon a kaiju to your opponent's side of the board and you can't trade into it, or somehow they stop you from killing it. Sometimes you need to have the solution to that problem. Mind control, there was an interesting play I made in testing on Dueler Network, where I tried to dog around my opponents. They negated... I gave my opponent a Dogoran. I tried to dog around my opponent. They negated my Dogoran. I summoned Falco, made Ascension, mind-controlled their Dogoran, and because cards had gone to grave, my field spell was back at 5 counters, and I tried to dog around them again with the Dogoran I'd taken, and that managed to succeed, and then I was able to kill them with the Ascension and the Construct, which was on the board from earlier on. So the mind control was interesting there, but it's just really, really good at the moment. I really like this. It's good in almost every match except for what's it called? Burning Abyss. So I really like this card. Foolish Burial, Soul Charge, because we've got a lot of big things that we can bring back in this deck. Triple Upstart Goblin, because thinning, why not? 3 copies of Kyoto Waterfront. Also, Upstart is really cool with Kyoto. Kyoto Waterfront is the field spell for Kaiju, which was released in Clash of Rebellion, along with the other 2 cards. This guy reads, each time a card or cards is sent from the field to the graveyard, place 1 Kaiju counter on this card for each sent card, sorry. Now, this card is pretty cool. It literally, and it doesn't activate, so it adds counters as and when, and immediately when cards are sent to the graveyard. So it gains counters ridiculously fast. And you'll see in the videos that I actually miss points where I should have put counters on, because I'm simply not used to this card just triggering in the middle of my chains, or gaining in the middle of my chains. While this card is on the field, and it has 3 or more Kaiju counters on it, you can add a Kaiju monster from your deck to your hand. And if this card will be destroyed, you can remove 1 Kaiju counter from this card. The thing that makes this card really, really good is that it reads, while 3 or more Kaiju counters are on this card, you can add 1 Kaiju monster from your deck to your hand. It doesn't say you take the 3 off. It's literally, if it has 3, you can keep ticking that effect over turn after turn after turn. And the fact that it only has to remove 1 Kaiju counter from it to not be destroyed is absolutely ridiculous. So this field spell is so hard to remove. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I'm in love with this card right now. I really can't wait to see what other Kaijus come out. Then for the rest of the spells, I play 3 Shaddolls Fusion and 3 El Shaddolls Fusion, and that rounds out the spell lineup. It's a lot of 3s, but we wanted it to be consistent, so 3 offs are the way to go. Then for the trap lineup, it's pretty simple. It's just one Bottomless, 1 Torrential, the best disruption traps at the moment, in my opinion. Then 1 Shadow Core, and then 1 Jar of Avarice. Jar of Avarice was something I wanted to trial because in this deck, you will really quickly run out of Kaijus and run out of targets, especially because we're playing smaller versions of established engines in the deck. I wanted a way to put those back, and also you lose if you run out of constructs, and you may lose if you run out of fusions. And in this deck, I'm playing a lot of one-of fusions, so I wanted to be able to put those one-of fusions back, because a lot of them I'll make multiple times. It's just impossible to play all of them in the extra deck. There's just no room. So the Jar of Avarice was that solution. Sadly, I don't think I ever resolved this card. So I want to keep testing it. I think it's a really good card in theory, but I never actually managed to resolve it. So there's the Jar. Let's move into the extra deck, shall we? So the extra deck it's fairly usual. It's just got a few little spins to it. So we play 3 copies of El Shaddolls Construct, the boss of the deck. You still manage to go through 3. It's just ridiculously good. 1 copy of El Shaddolls Anoitilus for the Necros matchup and for summoning with Core, and with Dweller that we side decked. 1 El Shaddolls Sheki Naga for the Earths. 1 El Shaddolls Grista. This was in here for, of course, fusing with the Kaiju Dogorans. It came up once in one of the videos. I recorded every duel I played at Locals, so this came up because of the Kaijus once, but I never really used this effect. And then 1 Winder just for space concerns. And in all honesty, you're almost always fusing with your other cards in the deck, so the Winder, you only make once. I never needed the second one, so this was all I played. No or what's it called, Wendigo. Still not playing that card, still refuse to play that card. So that's those. Then for the rank 4s, I played Trapeze Magician, Exiton Knight, Castell, 106, and then I played one more Xyz in the form of Divine Dragon Knight Felgrand. Felgrand was in here for Xyzing with Dogoran and Construct, and I actually in the mirror match managed to have a Construct on board and mind controlled my opponent's Construct to make a Felgrand. And this card was just really clutch in a lot of situations, so I really liked Felgrand. You'll even see me use it in the Toon matchup to beat over my opponent's Toon Ascension Sky Dragon. So that was really pretty cool. And then for the synchros, I played 3 targets, and they were all for making using Dogoran and Falco, or Construct and Falco. And they were Leo, the Keeper of the Sacred Tree, and then 2 copies of Ascension Sky Dragon, because I felt like this card was going to be the biggest OTK enabler in the deck, and it really, really was. It came up that I needed to play 2. I'm really glad I played 2. It's also really interesting that if your opponent... it's really good that if you play 2, if your opponent puts work into clearing one of these after you've used it to make a construct, if you like attack into them and they clear it with a Mirror Force, and you bring back a construct and a Falco, you can just immediately then synchro them again, main phase 2, into another Ascension Sky Dragon, and it should realistically be bigger because you get another out of the construct. So the second Ascension Sky Dragon was so important. I would definitely always play 2 in this deck if I were to rebuild it. But honestly, guys, if you wanted to net this, these can just be 2 more Leos. There's no real problem with them being Leos. This is just a lot bigger. So like you could probably just get away with playing 2 Leos and then another one of the fusions if you preferred it, or another Xyz. And if you wanted this to be like any other Xyz, this can be any other. But I just like having the access to the effect negation. So that's why they're in here. But if you don't want to play them, you don't have to play them. In fact, there were a couple of situations where a 6 or an 8 would have come up. So you might be better off cutting like the Ascensions for another Leo and an 8, like a level 8 synchro. So that's that. So at the end of the day, that is the Kaiju doll deck profile that you guys have been seeing on my channel recently. I definitely had a lot of fun with this deck. It was actually the most fun I've had with one of my doll variants in quite a while. So that's all there is to it. I hope I've communicated the strategy behind it adequately. If you've got any other questions about it, your best bet is to go and check out the feature matches that I'm going to be posting on the channel after this video and before this video. But no, I think that's about everything I wanted to say on this one. So yeah, guys, this is Jamie the Kid 00. Leave this a like if you enjoyed this relatively original concept. Leave this a subscription if you want to see more of the same. Share this with your friends if you think they'd benefit or enjoy this video, and comment down below if you've got any feedback relating to the deck. But yeah, this is Jamie the Kid 00, and I'll see you guys next time with some more Yu-Gi-Oh related content. Peace out. Bye-bye.